Hi, I'm Danny Gill, and in this DVD we're going to talk about slide guitar. The slide has been used by a wide range of guitarists, from blues greats Johnny Winter and Duane Allman, to rockers such as Aerosmith's Joe Perry, ZZ Top's Billy Gibbons. Even hard rock giants such as Ritchie Blackmore and Slash have used the slide at some point to enhance their styles. Not to mention, of course, the legends Jimi Hendrix, Jeff Beck, George Harrison. The list goes on and on. This DVD is designed to get you started with the basic tunings, patterns, and techniques that make up a musical foundation shared by all the great slide players. So, if you're ready to get started, grab your guitar, grab a slide, and I'll see you in the lessons. It's going to be fun. Over the years, anything and everything conceivable to make a sound on a string has been used as a slide. From a pocket knife to a piece of bone, I've even seen some great slide solos performed on half-empty beer bottles. Early glass slides, in fact, were made from the tops of wine bottles, which is why this style of playing is sometimes referred to as bottleneck guitar. The most common slides, however, are made out of glass, metal, or brass, or even ceramic. The glass slide has a smoother sound and is lighter than a brass or metal slide and is more common for the electric guitar. The heavier brass or metal slides are often used with acoustic instruments, such as the dobro, the National steel guitar, or even the steel string acoustic guitar. Slides come in all sizes depending on how big your hand is and which finger you want to use. Now, most commonly, people will use either their middle finger, third finger, or even the fourth finger for the slide. I alternate between the middle finger and the third finger. And the idea is you want the slide to fit snugly up to the middle knuckle. You still want to be able to bend your finger a little bit. So if I put this slide on my middle finger, I can still bend my finger just a little bit. And I'm going to be using a glass slide throughout this video as I'll be playing the electric guitar, and I find that to be a smoother sound on the electric guitar than a brass or metal slide. Now, as far as the guitar itself, you don't have to do anything to your guitar in order to play the slide. However, it does help if you have heavier strings and a higher action than maybe you normally would have on your electric guitar. I normally use either 9s or 10s on my guitar. Right now I have a set of 12s on here. So heavier strings and higher action make it a little easier to play the slide. Okay, well, there's a little information on the slide and on the setup of the guitar. Let's move on to another subject, intonation. Intonation is very important when playing the slide. The guitar is what's known as a tempered instrument, which means we have frets, and when we press down on a fret, we pretty much know what note we're going to hear. Take, for example, the 4th fret of the G string. If I press down on the 4th fret of the G string, I know that that pitch will be B. Now with the slide, we no longer have that luxury. We can see the frets, but we don't use them anymore. We just use them as a guide. So we have to play directly on top of the frets, and this is a very important point. With the slide, we play directly on top of the frets in order to achieve the pitch. So what we're going to do for our first exercise, we're going to take a G blues scale on the G string, and we're going to play the note without the slide, and then we're going to try and find the note with the slide. So if we take the G string, the first note of a G blues scale could be the open G string. Following this, we can play B flat on the 3rd fret of the G string. If I fret that note, I'm going to fret here. This is known as the 3rd fret, even though I'm playing in between the frets. Now, let's try and find that note with the slide. So I'm playing directly on top of the fret wire on the 3rd fret in order to achieve that pitch, which is normally found by pressing down in between the 2nd and the 3rd fret. Moving on, the next note of the scale is C. We can play C on the 5th fret of the G string. And with the slide, the next note on the 6th fret, D flat, followed by D, that's on the 7th fret, F on the 10th fret, and finally G on the 12th fret. So try and get the hang of finding the correct pitch of the note with the slide. Our first exercise will use the G blues scale. So let's go check it out with a backing track and then we'll come back and talk about it. All right, well now let's take a look at that solo. This uses the G blues scale all on the G string. We're trying to really nail the intonation. So I'm starting off on the G string and then playing the 3rd fret to the 5th fret. Now without the slide, these pitches would sound like this. And with the slide, from this point, we're going to play the 7th fret of the G string 2 times, and then 5, 3, back to the open G. Now we're going to slide up into the 5th fret, 3rd fret to the open string. So far we've done this. Now we're going to play 5, 6, 7 on the G string, up to the 10th fret, back to the 7th, 10, 12, 7. So far we've done this. Now we're going to repeat that, but we're going to have a slightly different ending. So I'll stop when we get to the new ending. I'll play everything that you should already know up to this point. Okay, now the new part, we're going to slide 10 up to 12 on the G string and strike the G string one more time. Okay, so here's the whole example. 1, 2, 3. Another important technique I'd like to talk about is muting. This is where we control all of the unwanted string noise. And we can do this with both the fretting hand and the picking hand. If we talk about the fretting hand, let's say I have the slide on the middle finger, I can just lightly press the strings with my first finger behind the slide in order to control some of that unwanted string noise. Or if I have the slide on my third finger, I can use the middle finger, or even the middle finger and the first finger to stop some of that unwanted noise. With the picking hand, I can just lightly rest the heel against the strings somewhere between the pickup and the bridge. And this way I can control how loud the string is, the dynamics of the string, and I can also stop some of that unwanted string noise. So here's a couple of examples to practice our muting with. Here's the first one. So all I'm going to do here is play a C major triad, 5th fret of the D, G, and the B strings. That makes a C major triad with the root C being in the middle here on the 5th fret of the G string. So because I'm just going to bar on the 5th fret, I'll call out the string names to give you the sequence of the lick. So we're going to start off on the 3rd string, which is the G string, 4th string, which is the D string, 3rd string, 2nd string, that's the B string, 3rd string, 4th string. Okay, so those 6 notes. And we'll do that 3 times, and the final note will be C on the 5th fret of the G string. Now, the idea here is we just want to hear those notes that we're playing. We don't want to sustain the notes so they run into each other. We want to hear just the notes we're playing. Now, if I don't concentrate on the muting, I just let all the notes go, you may end up with something like this. So I mute by placing my fingers behind the slide with the left hand, and I lightly touch the strings with the heel of my right hand. Okay, here's a slightly longer example. You may have heard something like that before. So once again, I'm going to use the C major triad, 5th fret. I'll call out the string numbers. So we're going to start off 4, 3, 2, 2, 3. Repeat that. 4, 3, 2, 2, 4, 3. 2, 3. So far we've done this. Moving on, 4, 3, 2, 2, 3, just like in the beginning. Repeat that. And the ending, 4, 3, 2, 2, 4, 4, 3. Now, one of the reasons slide guitar became so popular is because with a slide, the guitar could more closely imitate the human voice by sliding up into notes or down into notes. So if we take a simple phrase, for example, this, it's just a lick from the G minor pentatonic scale. That's how it sounds without the slide. I'm playing 5th fret on the A string, 3 to 5 on the D, 3, 3 on the G string, back to 5 on the D string. Now, if we try sliding into these notes, listen to the difference. Let's continue this idea. I'll add a few more notes to my G minor pentatonic lick. So here I'm playing 5 on the A string, 3 to 5 on the D, 5 to 3 on the G, 5 on the D. And now let's do that with the slide. And we'll have a third lick here, a little longer. So for this final lick, we're going to start on the 5th fret of the A string, 3 to 5 on the D, G string 3rd fret 2 times, 5 to 3 on the D string, 5 on the A, 3 to 5 on the D, 3 G, 5 D, 3 2 times on the G string, finally ending on the root note G, 5th fret of the D string. Okay, and let's try and slide up into notes and down into notes with that phrase and see what we come up with. So as you can hear, it has a pretty unique sound with the slide. So let's put all 3 of these phrases together now. Now, a huge part of attaining that vocal-like quality with the slide is the vibrato. And this vibrato is achieved with the slide by moving the slide up and down over a note. So if we have, let's say, a D note on the 3rd fret of the B string, here's the pitch. We can find that pitch with the slide. And if we try and move the slide up and down over the note. One of the advantages of vibrato is with the vibrato, you can mess around a little bit with the intonation. You don't have to be as perfect with the intonation. If we're going to play that D note without vibrato, I have to be dead on that note. If I'm slightly off, you're going to hear it. But with the vibrato is achieved by being slightly off of the note. We hit the note, but we're also below it and a little bit above it. So we don't have to be as perfect with the intonation if we're using vibrato. So for our next jam track, We'll try and put some of these ideas together, sliding up into notes, down into notes, using vibrato. Let's check it out with the jam track, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Now this solo has two sections to it. The first section is in the key of C, the second section is in the key of G. Here's the first lick in the key of C. Starting off on the D string, 5th fret, 3 to 5 on the G string. Now I'm going to slide 3 to 4 on the B string 2 times and then come back to the 5th fret of the G string. So I end on the C note. The second idea is just an answer to the first idea. It's very similar, sounds like this. So we start off the same, first 3 notes are the same. At this point I'm going to slide from the 4th fret to the 6th fret on the B string, back to the 4th fret, ending on the root note C, 5th fret G string. The third idea develops this idea further. We're going to start off on the 5th fret of the D string, then play 3 to 5 on the G, 3 to 4 on the B, back to 5 on the G, now up to the 7th fret of the B string. This is the blues note in the key of C. Back to the 6th fret, back to the 4th fret, and then slide from 5 to 3 on the G string. Back to the 5th fret of the D, 3 to 5 on the G. Now I'm going to slide into the 8th fret on the B, back to the 4th fret, and end on the root note C, 5th fret of the G string. The second section in the key of G starts off this way. 5th fret of the D string, 3rd fret G, 2nd fret G. The next idea, 5th fret D and then 7 to 5 on the G. Now on the B string, I'm going to play 11, 10, 8. Slide back up to 10, back down to 6. Hit the 6 one more time. And I'm going to end the whole solo with this phrase. 12 on the D, 10, 12 G, 11 2 times on the B string, and then 12 on the G string. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about phrasing. What is phrasing? Well, phrasing is what you say with the notes you play. Everybody plays the same notes. It's the phrasing which makes those notes make sense, sound good, all that stuff. So a good way to develop your phrasing is simply to copy some licks. So right now, you're going to copy my licks. We're going to play over a chord progression that goes like this. We're going to have 2 bars of A minor, and I'm going to play a lick for the first bar of A minor, and then you'll copy it. Then we'll have 2 bars of F. I'll play a lick over the first bar of F, you copy it. 2 bars of D minor, same idea here. I'll solo for the first D minor bar, and you copy it for the second bar. And we'll end up with 2 bars of E. I'll play an idea for the E, and then you try and copy it. So just to give you an idea, let's say I count us in, then I play an idea, and then you would copy it. So for example, it could be something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, copy. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it. And then we'd be on to the next idea. I think you'll get the hang of this once we play along with the backing track. I think it's a good idea if you try and copy these licks before I show you what they are, just to try and develop your ears a little bit. So let's go to the jam track. I'll play the idea, you try and copy it, and then after trying that out, then we'll go ahead and learn the licks together. All right, well, how did you do with that? Hopefully you did okay, but I'm going to show you the licks now. I'm using the A minor scale, with the exception of the final chord E contains 1 note that does not belong to the A minor scale. So let's talk a little bit about the scales. I'll put the slide down here. See if I'll hide it right there for now. A minor would look like this. We have the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And I can continue on the G string, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So that's the A minor scale. Now, the E major or E7 chord contains a note that does not belong to the A minor scale, and that note is G sharp. So if we alter the A minor scale to include G sharp, that scale is known as harmonic minor. So here is A harmonic minor. A, B, C, D, E, F, G sharp, and back to A. So instead of the G, we have G sharp. So sometimes I'm playing that G sharp note over the E major chord. Just sounds a little better in context. So here's one pattern of the harmonic minor scale if we go further. We've done the first octave. To the G string now, we can play B, C, and D. On the B string, we'll play E and F. Now we'll jump to the G sharp note on the 4th fret of the high E. We have G sharp, A, B, and all the way up to C. So there's harmonic minor. Okay, now the first lick I played was simply an A note. So let me grab the slide again. I played on the 7th fret of the D string. And you can just follow that with that same 7th fret of the D string. The next lick sounds like this. Sliding into the 5th fret of the G 2 times and then landing on 7 on the D string. Now the progression went to D minor. I played this phrase, which is 5, and then slide 5 to 6, back to 3 on the B string. Now the E chord came around, and here's what I played for the E. All on the B string, 5 to 4. The 4th fret of the B string is E flat, which is the blues note in the key of A. So that seems to work out pretty good in this situation. So 5 to 4 on the B string, 5 up to 9 on the B string, back to 5. So why did I slide up to the 9th fret here? Because that note is G sharp, which sounds great over the E chord. Now we're back to A minor again. So here's the phrase I played over the A minor. Seventh fret D, 5, 7, 9 on the G. Now to the F chord. Seven, 5 on the G. 7, 5 on the D, landing on the 5th fret of the G. Now to the D minor chord. That's 5 to 7 on the G, 5, 6, 5 on the B, and now the E chord. So for the E phrase, I'm going to start on the G sharp note. That's on the 9th fret of the B string, up to the 10th fret, and now I'm going to play 12, 13, 12, also on the B string. And now we have one more round of all of these chords. So now we're back to A minor. I'm moving up to the 17th fret. I'm going to play the 17th fret of the B string, E string, back to the B string. And then back to the E string one more time. Now to the F chord. This is 15, 13 on the B. 14, 12 on the G, and then 13 on the B string. Now to the D minor chord. All on the B string, 6, 5, 3, 5. And the final phrase on the E string sounds like this. So I'm playing 9, 10, 12, 13, 12. And there you have all of the licks for this phrasing exercise. Now, so far we've been talking about doing licks with a slide one string at a time. We can also use the slide on more than one string at a time and play some chords. So this next example will outline some chords. Let's go check it out, then we'll come back and break it down. Now, without retuning the guitar, the easiest open chord to play is G. If we play on the D, G, and the B strings, those three notes make up a G major triad. So using the slide, let's say we play on the 2nd fret, that will be an A major triad. On the 4th fret would be B, 5th fret C, and so on. For the first part of this jam, I'm using the D and the G strings and playing a power chord. If I play just the D and the G strings open, this makes up a G power chord. If I play those notes together, say on the 3rd fret, that's a B flat power chord. On the 2nd fret would be an A power chord, and so on. So this first section is in the key of G. I'm starting off by sliding from 3 back to 2 to the open 2 strings. I'm always going to be playing on the D and the G strings for now until we say otherwise, okay? So 3rd fret, 2nd fret, open strings. Up to the 5th fret, back to the 3rd, to the open strings. Now I'm going to repeat the first part, slide into the 3rd fret, back to the 2nd fret, to the open strings. Up to the 5th fret. 2 strings open, slide from the 2nd to the 3rd, back to the 2nd, back to the open strings. Here's what we've done so far. Okay, now I'm going to repeat that with a slightly different ending. I'll repeat this much. Now at this point, I'm going to move up to the 10th fret, slide up to the 12th fret. So this outlines an F chord to a G chord. Okay, so here's what we've done from the beginning. Okay, now we go back to the first part of this riff, but we're going to have a slightly different ending. This time we're going to end with a C chord to an F chord. C is played on the 5th fret of the D and the G strings. It's a C5 chord, it's a power chord. And then I'm going to play an F power chord on the 3rd fret of the A and the D string. So I'm moving to a new set of strings here. Okay, so that second section here, the second part of this riff sounds like this. All right, so let's go back and review. Here's what we've done so far. And we play that whole section 2 times, and then we're going to move into the second section, which is a halftime feel and sounds like this. So here we're going to play on the A string and the D string. If I play the A and the D strings open, that gives me a D5 power chord. So we're going to start there with those 2 strings open, up to the 3rd fret, open, 3rd fret, open, 3rd fret to open, one more time, and now slide 3 to 5. Strike the 5th fret again, go up a half step and back. Back to the 3rd fret. So far we've done this. Okay, now I repeat this first part of the phrase. And at this point I'm going to move up to the 5th fret, back to the 3rd, up to the 8th. So now, so far from the beginning, here's what we've done, or from the beginning of this second section. And we repeat that 2 times. After repeating that 2 times, there's going to be a little break, and I'm going to play this phrase. A string and D string open, slide into the 12th fret. Do it again, and again, and again. So that's 4 times. And then we're back into the beginning. Okay, so let's go through it. I'll play it from the top. A good way to come up with some licks is to outline the shape of a chord with the slide. Now, if we play the D, G, and the B strings open, that gives us a G chord shape. And this is a good shape for the slide because we can bar across 1 fret. So if we bar across, say, the 2nd fret, that'll give us an A chord on those 3 strings. And so on. If I move up a half step to the 3rd fret, that will be B flat. Up another half step will be B. And so on. So what I'm going to do now is play a blues solo. This will be a blues in the key of A, 3 chord shapes, A, D, and E. I'm going to try and outline those 3 shapes. So let's go check out the solo, and then we'll come back and break it down. Now for this blues solo in the key of A, I'm outlining 3 chord shapes, A, D, and E. I'm going to start off with the A shape played on the 14th fret of the D and the G strings. Now I'm going to play back and forth between the 14th fret of the D and the G string 4 times. Slide back into the 14th fret on those same 2 strings. And now play the D, G, back to the D string. I'm going to jump out of position a little bit here, slide up to the 17th fret on the B, back to the 13th fret, and then grab 14 on the G. Now I'm going to move below the bar. If you can see that A bar as being on the 14th fret, I'm now going to play a little bit below it, between the 12th and the 14th fret. Starting on the 14th fret of the D string, 12, 14 on the G, slide 12 to 13 on the B, 14 to 12 on the G, 14 on the D, and then 12 to 14 on the G string. Now at this point, a D chord is coming up, so I want to move into the 5th position where I can outline this D shape on the 7th fret. And I'm going to do that by sliding off of the 14th fret of the G string, and I'm just going to randomly, slowly slide down. I'm just going to pick randomly with the right hand. Leading my way into the 7th fret of the G string. So let's review what we've done so far. Now at this point, we're playing over the D chord, so I'm going to have a lot of hits on the 7th fret here, starting with the 7th fret of the G string, 7 on the B string, 7 G, slide 8 to 7 on the B, back to 7 on the G, 7 D, 7 G. Now 7 on the D, back to the G, back to the D string, 8 to 7 on the B, 7 G, 7 D, and then slide 5 to 7 on the G string. So I'm going to take it from the chromatic slide from the 14th fret of the G string. Now I'm back to playing over an A chord. I'm going to stay in 5th position here. So I'm going to break away from that bar shape we've been using. If you can visualize an A chord like this, 7th fret of the D, 6th fret of the G, 5th fret of the B, I'm going to play around that shape a little bit. Okay, here's what the phrase in A will sound like. So I'm starting on the 5th fret of the G, back to 7 on the D, 7 on the A, 5, 7 on the D. Now slide 5 to 6 on the G 3 times. That's a common phrase with blues, sliding from the minor third to the major third of a chord. Now I'm going to play on the 7th fret of the D string twice. And at this point, the chord moves to E. Here's the phrase for E. On the D string, slide from 7 to 6, 7 on the A, slide into 9 on the D string. Next phrase will outline a D shape to a C shape. So here I'm sliding from 5 to 7 on the D. And while I let that D string ring, I'm going to grab the G string and slide back to from the 7th to the 5th fret. Now I'm back to A. This is the turnaround of the blues. I'm going to be back to the 14th fret. So at this point, I'm going to play 14 on the D, 14 on the G, 2 times. And now I'm going to have this lick that I've stolen from a friend of mine, Brett Garsib. Thanks for the cool lick, Brett. What I'm going to do here is play a harmonic on the 5th fret of the G string. And you have to be very careful, and if you do this correctly, you can grab an overtone harmonic, which is an octave higher, and sounds like this. Okay, so what I'm doing here, play a harmonic on the 5th fret of the G string, so that's when you play directly on top of the fret wire, but you don't press down. And now be very careful and try and smoothly grab the slide onto that G string and slide up, and we'll take the harmonic with us. Now I'm going to move to the 17th fret. On the B string, I'm going to play 17 B, E, B, E, B. And the final 3 notes, I'm going to slide into the 21st fret, back to the 17th fret on the high E, and then grab 17 on the B and slide off. And there's the solo. Now we're going to talk about drop D tuning. With this tuning, what we're going to do is take the first string down to D, and this will give us a partial open tuning, you could say, because if we play on the top 4 strings, this will be a G chord. So the guitar is tuned as it normally is on the bottom, E, followed by A, D, G, B, but the first string will be D. So if we play the top 4 strings, that gives us a G chord. Goes to follow, if we play that on the 2nd fret, that would be an A chord. And so on. So here's a little bluesy lick that we can practice with this drop D tuning. So here I'm starting off on the G and the B string, 12th fret. Now to the top 2 strings, 10, 11, 12. 2 hits on the 12th fret, another 2. Work your way chromatically up to the 15th fret. Now play 2 hits on the 15th fret 3 times. Chromatically back to the 12th fret. Play the 12th fret, play 2 hits 3 times. Back to the 10th fret chromatically. And then to the 12th fret of the G and the B strings. Now we're going to take a look at open E tuning. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the low E string, leave it alone, because we're going to play open E, so we can use the E string. The 5th string will be tuned up a full step from A to B. The fourth string will be tuned up a full step from D to E. The third string will be moved up a half step from G to G sharp. B string, the second string, stays where it is, and the first E string stays where it is. So we have E, B, E, G sharp, B, E. And altogether, that gives us an E major chord. We can hit all 6 strings and we get an E major chord. Now this is great for slide playing because when we lay the slide over one of the frets, we have an entire major chord. This is also great for playing solos because there's a very simple scale shape that works great in open E tuning. So I'm going to do this in the key of A. If we play on the 5th fret, that's an A chord. We can start off on an A note. Let's say we start off on the high E string on A on the 5th fret. We then can go back to the 3rd fret of the high E string. Same shape, 5 to 3 on the B string. 5 to 3 on the G string. 5 to 3 on the D string. 5 to 3 on the A string. Here we can also go back to the 2nd fret. And then to the root note, A on the 5th fret of the low E. So this is a very simple shape to use when outlining a chord. So if I have an A chord, I can then go to this scale pattern just behind the 5th fret and all those notes sound great. And we can move it around. Let's say we move up to the 7th fret. That would be a B chord. Okay, so for our next example, we're going to take advantage of this open E tuning. So why don't we go check out the example and then we'll come back and break it down. Okay, so I'm starting off with a chord shape, just playing the bottom 3 strings. That will be an E chord. To the 3rd fret on those same strings, that'll be a G chord. 2 hits on the open bottom 3 strings. Back to the 3rd fret. Open strings. 3rd fret. Open strings. And we'll keep going back to this same rhythm. And here's the first riff. This is going to be in the key of E. So I'm playing behind the 12th fret using that scale shape that we just learned, starting off on the 12th fret of the B string. Slide 10 to 12. 12, 10 on the G. Slide into 12 on the D. 10 to 12 on the G. Then 2 hits on the 12th fret of the B string. And then to the 12th fret of the G string. Then we're back into the rhythm. So here I'm sliding into the 12th fret of the high E string, 10 to 12 on the high E string, 12, 10 on the B, 12 on the G, 10 on the B, and then 10, 12 on the G, and then grab 12 on the B, and I'll do that 2 times. Slide 12 back to 10 on the G string, and then grab 12 on the D string 2 times. Now I'm back into that rhythm. But this time I'm going to work my way up to A. Just by playing open strings, 3rd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret. Okay, now I'm going to work my way around the A scale. So I'm going to play in between the 3rd and the 5th fret now. So after playing the A chord, I'm going to then go to the G string, 5th fret, slide back to the 3rd fret, 3 to 5 on the D, 5 on the G, 3 to 5 on the G string, grab 5 on the B, repeat that, 3 to 5 on the G string, and then back to the 5th fret of the D string. At this point, I'm going to go back to that same rhythm we've been working with. And now I'm going to move into A. And I do this by working chromatically, open strings, 3rd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret. When I reach the 5th fret, that's my A chord. At this point in the solo, we're going to go back into our rhythm phrase. Now we're going to work our way up to A. And we'll do this by playing the open strings, 3, 4 to the 5th fret. And there's our A chord on the 5th fret. And then our lick will sound like this. So I'm going to start by playing 5 to 3 on the G string, slide 3 to 5 on the D string, grab 5 on the G string again, now 3 to 5 on the G, grab 5 on the B, repeat it, play the 5th fret of the B one more time, 3 to 5 on the G, and then 5 on the D string. Now, because we're playing off the A chord now, I'm staying with the scale in between the 3rd and the 5th fret. That's the A scale. At this point, we're going to go back to our main rhythm. And now we're going to move to an A chord. We're simply going to play the open strings, 3rd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret. Now that's our A chord, barring on the 5th fret, and our lick will revolve around that scale in between the 3rd and the 5th fret, because now we're playing in the key of A. So the lick will start on the 5th fret of the G, slide back to the 3rd fret, 3 to 5 on the D, 5 on the G, 3 to 5 on the G, grab 5 on the B, repeat that, hit the 5th fret of the B one more time, slide 3 to 5 on the G, grab 5 on the D. Now we're back to our rhythm. And now we're going to move into a B chord chromatically. So from the E, we're then going to play on frets 5, 6 to 7. And for the B chord, we're going to use the same scale pattern, but in the key of B, we'll play in between the 5th and the 7th fret. So here the lick is just going to be 7 to 5 on the D string, 7 on the A, 7 on the D. Back to A. So after hitting the A chord twice, on the G string, 5 to 3, to 5 on the D. And the final rhythmic phrase sounds like this. So we start out with our same rhythm. At this point, we're going to slide from the A to the B, 5th to the 7th fret. For an ending, open strings, 3rd fret, 3rd fret back to the 2nd fret, open strings. And there's an example of using an open E tuning. All right, well that brings us to the end of the DVD. There are a lot of things presented in here. Intonation, vibrato, phrasing, open tunings, tons of things. Try not to get too overwhelmed. The slide is not an easy instrument to play, but hopefully I've inspired you to spend some more time and be creative with it and enjoy it. So, hope to see you again. Enjoy the slide.